Hello and welcome to Spotlight on the Arts. My name is Eric Dillner and I'm the CEO of Shoreline Arts Alliance. Spotlight on the Arts is Shoreline Arts Alliance's opportunity to talk a little more closely with the artists and arts organizations who are in your community. We give them an opportunity to share a little bit more about what they're doing and what they're bringing to you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Spotlight on the Arts from Shoreline Arts Alliance.
Hi, I'm Whitney Lorenz, and thank you for tuning in to this 2020 episode of Spotlight on the Arts. This week, I'll be interviewing Alden Rockwell Murphy, the president at MusicalMasterworks. MusicalMasterworks brings world-renowned classical artists to Connecticut. In the past 9 years, MusicalMasterworks has presented over 125 classical concerts to over 15,000 audience members. Alden, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So I know you have the Beethoven full-string quartet cycle coming up, but before we get into that, would you tell us about MusicalMasterworks and how and when it got started?
Sure, I'd be delighted to. MusicalMasterworks is a chamber music series that's based in Old Lyme, Connecticut, right up the road. We were founded 29 years ago by myself and my husband and some dear friends who were very involved with music and wanted to bring this kind of music out here. Our first artistic director was Charles Wadsworth, who was actually the artistic director of Chamber Music Society at Lincoln Center. So needless to say, under his leadership, we got amazing musicians to come out and perform on our stage. It was a really incredible way to begin. And then when Charles retired 11 years ago, he selected a cellist named Edward Aaron to be his successor, and Ed Aaron has been our artistic director since then, and also does incredible programming, which you'll hear more about in a little while. I hope I can talk about that. We're set up so that we started giving 3 concert weekends a year in October, from October to May. It became so popular that we expanded to 5 concert weekends a year, and those became so popular that each concert weekend expanded from a Saturday concert to Saturday, Sunday, back-to-back repeat concerts. So we've grown from 3 concerts a year to now 10 concerts a year, which has been very pleasing to us.
So exciting, yeah.
And what it also interestingly says is that the myth that audiences don't like or love or attend live chamber music concerts is not true, at least not up in our neck of the woods. I'm very glad to say there are a lot of people who love live chamber music.
So what do you think makes MusicalMasterworks stick? What do you think that makes it maybe stand out in this day and age?
Interesting. Good question. I think the things that our audiences have responded to over the years and that has really made them grow, I think there are actually 3 things. The first is our incredible array of artists. They really are world-class musicians. They perform all over the planet. First Charles and then Edward Aaron work hard to assemble them together for the very special programs they create. So our artists are definitely the first standout reason that people keep coming back to us. The next reason, and it is huge, is our venue. We are lucky to call our home the First Congregational Church of Old Lyme is our concert home. It's a beautiful building, an iconic building from the outside that many of the Old Lyme Impressionists made famous in their paintings. What people who see it from the outside might not know is that it's as magnificent on the inside, and from our point of view, the key thing is that it has exquisite acoustics. There's a huge dome right in the center, and all of the sound is just beautifully divided throughout the interior, so that even these musicians who have played in the great concert halls of the world say that this is a phenomenal location for chamber music.
Old Lyme is such a special place.
It's a wonderful place. There's such a rich arts community there.
No, totally.
One other thing about the Congregational Church Meeting House as our home is that it's just the right size for chamber music. It holds about 300, a little more, and that is a perfect size for the intimate experience that chamber music is really meant to be. So that regardless of whether you're sitting on the main floor of the meeting house or up in one of their wonderful balconies, every single person in that church feels they have a connection with the musicians, and that's as I've said, that's really what chamber music is all about. So we can help our audiences to have that experience there absolutely perfectly.
So great.
It's very nice.
So now let's get to the Beethoven.
Yes.
You are presenting all 18 of Beethoven's string quartets over 2 concert weekends in March and in May. So that's quite an undertaking now, for both the musicians and for your audiences.
It is indeed. One of the first things I said about it when we decided to do this, after lots of conferring, was this is actually audacious of us to do this. It's audacious and amazing of musicians to do it. But we are able to do it because Ed Aaron has assembled an amazing group of musicians, whom I'd like to tell you about in a minute. And we've worked our schedule out so that we can offer 3-day concert weekends in March and May instead of the regular 2-day concert weekends. So we do Friday, Saturday, Sunday in March, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in May. I'll give you those dates at some point. And each of those nights or performances will be 3 different quartets. So unlike our back-to-back concerts that have the same program, we will be offering different programs on the weekends in March and the weekends in May. And if anybody has made it to all of them, they will have heard all 18 of the string quartets. And I forgot to mention that this is in honor and celebration of Beethoven's 250th anniversary.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The great man was born in 1750, so we are now celebrating around the world his 250th anniversary. And many presenting organizations are presenting special symphonies or sonatas or whatever they may, honoring Beethoven. Because we're a chamber music organization, Ed Aaron decided very audaciously to program all 18 of the string quartets. And it's quite an opportunity.
Yeah, what a wonderful thing to be a part of.
It's quite a wonderful opportunity for us. Yes.
So who will be performing the quartet cycle?
Yes, the quartets will be performed by the Ennis Quartet. The Ennis Quartet was founded by James Ennis, and he's really sort of a superstar of Canadian musical heritage.
Beethoven's Triple Concerto is a unique challenge, I think, for the solo players. It is like you're playing a piano trio, but you are almost always slightly outside the context of an orchestra. I think sonically for an audience, it's unlike anything else, and I think that's part of the appeal.
He's won 2 Grammys, so he is the first violinist, and Amy Schwartz-Moretti, who has performed with us many times, is the second violinist. A young violist named Richard O'Neill, who has also performed on our concert series, is the violist, and our own Edward Aaron is the cellist. So they are this tight, wonderful, again, world-renowned ensemble that actually is performing this series not only in Oline, but in Seattle and in Miami as well. So they will really have this material under their belts, and it will be very exciting.
Sounds amazing.
To be a part of it. What I think of, especially because, again, is in this venue that I've told you about, the meeting house of the First Congregational Church of Oline, for the audience to be participating in this with these musicians, knowing what an achievement this is for the musicians. It's really sort of a musical marathon for the musicians as well as for the audience. So everybody, I think everybody's senses will be heightened and people will be sitting on the edges of their seats. I think it's going to be very, very exciting.
So is there anything the audiences can do to prepare for this kind of a thing?
That's a good question, and my first answer is listen. Listen to the music. As anybody who comes to concerts knows, you always do better if you're familiar with the music. It's true of a Broadway show. I remember when I first went to see Hamilton, I thought, I want to know that music, and I did, and it made a huge difference in appreciating the live presentation. So listen to the quartets. There are many, many versions available online. And the other thing is we have established a lecture series, I'm glad to say, with Professor Paul Berry of the Yale School of Music.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes,
That was really exciting.
it is very exciting. We've already had the first lecture last November, and we have one more scheduled for later this month, and then another one in April, right between the March and the May concert weekends. And Professor Berry really will help to set the music in the context of Beethoven's time, so we understand both the musical tradition and the sort of cultural and sociological tradition through which such chamber music came up. And he'll also help us to know what to listen for. So that way, I think the audience will feel so much more a part of what we're presenting. And this reminds me of the third element of what has made us stick that I forgot to mention when I was talking about the venue. If I can go back to that. I think the third element, aside from our world-class musicians, our wonderful venue, is our informal presentation style. And this is a conversational style that was introduced to us by Charles Wadsworth. He was the artistic director of the chamber music noonday series, both at the Spoleto Festival in Italy as well as in South Carolina. And because those noonday concerts were presented every day, there was no time to print program notes. So Charles, in his inimitable and very sociable way, jotted down notes, literally on napkins or backs of pieces of paper, and would come out and tell the audience at these concerts what they were about to hear. He would tell them about the composers, what was going on in their lives, about the instrumentalists, maybe quote a little bit of the music on the piano, and people were engaged because they had an in to the music. And also because Charles is present, even though the music is so usually elegant and first-rate and sometimes complex, Charles, in his casual, very open way, made the whole thing accessible. So part of what this verbal program notes style has done is it helps to demystify chamber music for audiences, because audiences often think, oh, chamber music is so formal and
it's often clouded in this mystery.
Yes, yes, and you've got to behave a certain way. And Charles and Ed Aaron in his succession have totally undone that. So people feel relaxed. They know that they will hear about the music. They'll know they'll learn about it. Before every piece, there's a little introduction. And so this lecture series we're doing on the Beethoven is an expanded version of that to really help audiences well before the dates of the concerts begin to absorb whatever helps them as far as information and listening, so they can feel more a part of the Beethoven series.
Yeah, that's so important.
That's
wonderful.
It's wonderful to be able to do it.
So I think you've already answered this question, but do you think anyone could enjoy these concerts even if they don't have a background in chamber?
Actually, I do think that, and you know, people have many varied tastes in music, and that is a given, and it's a wonderful thing. But as I said earlier, I think for anyone who's never been to a chamber music concert, or perhaps a live classical music concert, being in this hall with these musicians, playing this caliber of music, will really be something they will not forget. This is truly an achievement of humankind on the musician's part and of endurance on the audience's part. And I think people will just sense that. It will be sort of like being at a very exciting gymnastics event. I mean, this is the 10 of chamber music if you're scoring on a gymnastics score. And I think people will just know that. It will be that exciting. I'd like to quote, if I could for a minute, our artistic director, Ed Aaron, and what he has said about these concerts, because it's another way to know how special this is going to be. He says, these quartets represent the arc of an extraordinary life and of a groundbreaking career. They really are one of the most profound artistic achievements in the history of humankind.
Wow.
So for us all to be able to be present at a live performance of this and be part of the music making is really an extraordinary opportunity. And that's why we're so pleased to be able to present this. As a dear friend of mine says, this really is kind of a big deal. And it really is.
Well, it's all incredibly exciting.
Well, it is.
So where can viewers find you and get in touch with you?
Thank you for asking that. Our website is MusicalMasterworks.org, and they can certainly buy tickets to the concerts on our website. There's a phone number there also, 860-434-2252. They can call our wonderful General Director, Rick Wyman, and order tickets through him. We also urge viewers to go to our website if they want to hear the lectures. The lectures are free and open to the public,
Oh, that's great.
but we do want people to register because each venue has a limited seating capacity. So they can go to our drop-down calendar for the lectures for Beethoven to register for those, and they'll see ticket options. We have many different packages, so if people want to try buying one ticket, see if they like it, they can buy more individual tickets, they can buy 3 concerts, they can buy 6 concerts, so we hope we have something to please everyone.
That's wonderful. You might see my name on that website now.
How nice.
Completely intrigued.
Good, and bring some friends.
So did you want to mention the specific dates of the
Sure,
concerts?
yes, thank you. The concerts are beginning March 13th, so the first concert weekend is March 13, 14, 15, and that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll give you the details. Fridays are at 7 o'clock, Saturdays at 5 o'clock, Sundays at 3 o'clock. We found that the 5 o'clock time, which has been our tradition from the very beginning, more than a quarter century ago, is people love it because you can have your Saturday, get to the concert, you're out by 7 and in time for dinner, so you don't have to have dinner too early or too late. So the 5 o'clock works very well. So March 13, 14, 15, then we give everybody a 6-week break and coming back May 1, May 2, and May 3. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, also 7 p.m., 5 p.m., and 3 p.m.
Wonderful. Well, I'll look forward to attending because now I totally plan to.
Well, thank you, Whitney. We hope you'll be there. And we hope many people from the Guilford and the Madison and Shoreline area will come too. I think they'll be glad.
They will.
I think they'll be glad they did.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.